Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Nadim Kobeissi. He's CEO of Capsule Social to discuss decentralized content for journalists and how novice writers can inspire debate and generate conversations. Nadim, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you so much.
Tell us about Capsule Social's launch of Blockchain. Explain the technology and concept behind the platform.
So we're basically creating something that can be summarized as a mix between a decentralized Substack and Twitter. We have the content publishing format of something like Substack or Medium mixed with the social networking features of something like Twitter. The reason why we decided to build something like this and make it decentralized is because we're trying to establish a new paradigm for how content is published online, and most importantly, how discourse happens online. We're trying to sort of attack the idea that discourse happens in centralized silos, where certain topics and certain issues can be difficult to tackle. For example, content moderation today occurs via essentially an office at Facebook somewhere or Twitter somewhere, and content moderation is a really important thing, but we've seen that backfire in certain ways. For example, recently there's been a controversy where Instagram and Facebook were found to be censoring certain posts that showed individuals where to get access to abortion pills. There's other controversies that happened in a similar vein last year. We're not looking to establish something with no content moderation, but we're trying to build a platform that does have the social features and discourse features that allow writers to create, have ownership over their content, but also obtain a certain level of what we're calling content resilience guarantees. And we're doing so by decentralizing governance and decentralizing the way that publishing happens on blockchain.
So how will that, what will that moderation look like? Will moderation exist at all? How are you going to authenticate what is real content, what is not fake news, if you will? That's a big problem, regardless if it's Web 2, you're thinking about Web 3 practices, if we're looking at decentralized moderation, how does that factor in there?
That is indeed a very serious issue. We do have a content policy that does ban problematic content, fake content, plagiarism, violent content, illegal content, and we do plan on enforcing that just the same as you would see it on other platforms. There are two differences here. The first is that we're providing something called content resilience guarantees, which means that if we do enforce a content moderation decision, this can only happen through smart contract calls on a public-facing blockchain that is basically providing us with a transparent ledger of what content was moderated, how, when, and for what reason. This makes us accountable against abuses of our authority and also sort of limits the impact of certain things such as shadow banning or other things that certain platforms have been accused of. Secondly, because content is published on a decentralized infrastructure, namely IPFS, this means that essentially, even if we do delist content from our platform, and even if we do make it inaccessible from our platform, it's possible for random individuals outside of our jurisdiction on the internet to keep a copy or a mirror of that content on IPFS decentralized nodes that they themselves are operating. They can do that. It's their own responsibility. We're not engaging with these individuals. They have the moral responsibility for keeping that content. But at the very least, we're offering these resilience guarantees. Other than that, we absolutely plan to decentralize the governance in terms of the decision-making of how content gets moderated. Right now, it's us. This is the first generation of content moderation that we're implementing because we haven't had the time to work on the more decentralized options. But as we move forward, we are moving towards further generations of our content policy where we are going to be using decentralization technologies, Web3 technologies, in order to involve our users in the governance process. And we think that this is a way to sort of democratize what content gets to stay online, how content is displayed. And frankly, we don't want that responsibility either. We are here, we see ourselves as a technology company, and we want to involve a more democratic approach in how content is moderated online.
Thank you. That's always an interesting question as we think about how technologies and how the spread of information and misinformation is really being achieved at scale. So I appreciate you taking the time to answer that. What does blockchain's launch mean for the future of global discussions and debates?
What I hope it means is that we're going to have a place that's more reminiscent of how the internet was supposed to be in basically the 90s, where things are truly decentralized. There's no silo of authority or basically of publishing that everyone has to depend on, especially in the age of COVID, where sort of real life interactions have been more limited. But even aside from that, a lot of political, social debate and discourse has pivoted online. With blockchain, we've taken a lot of high-level technologies, advanced decentralization technologies, and we've made them just as easy to use for people who know already how to use Twitter, Substack, Medium. And what we hope is going to be the impact is that with the sort of enfranchisement of parties from civil society, journalists, and the general public, we are going to create a healthier place where people can engage in constructive discussions with less peer pressure on, how the Overton window operates, what is okay to say and not to say, but also with the guardrails that are necessary for, moderation and just guiding a productive discussion online without allowing harassment or violence to derail things as well. So we're trying to walk a fine line using technology. I don't think anyone has been able to walk the line that we're walking by combining the sort of social outset with technological advantages that we think we have. And with the engagement of a wide enough audience, we're really hoping to make a difference here.
Well, Nadim, it really would be refreshing to have healthy discourse back in the American narrative, the global narrative, for sure. So to wrap up here, what are the plans for the future of the company, and how does one get engaged in access to blockchain?
You can sign up today by going to blockchain.app. Unlike other Web3 applications, we're allowing signups via your wallet, of course, but also you can just log in via Google or Discord. We're trying to be accessible to Web2, normal web folks. We're not trying to basically just build on top of a Web3 infrastructure, which can be a bit exclusive sometimes when it comes to the user experience. Just blockchain.app, sign up today, start writing. We're also very, very interested in talking to high-profile writers or just people who want to write and want to basically promote their content and get paid on our platform. It's possible to get paid subscribers on blockchain today. You can get paid via, fiat, credit card-based subscriptions, as well as cryptocurrency subscriptions. And we will work with you to center you in our marketing strategy and to sponsor you to produce great content. We're looking to have a great cohort of writers writing about social topics, technology, the economy, etc. at launch. We're already getting in touch with a lot of people on that front. And I'm very excited to talk to you if you just want to go to blockchain.app and start writing and start growing an audience on the decentralized discourse infrastructure.
All right, Nadim, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Market Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.